The India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana coming up in the next hour. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to host Japanese counterpart General Nakatani for wide-ranging talks in New Delhi on Monday. Trump announces 100% tariff for movies produced outside US, says movie industry dying a very fast death due to other countries offering incentives to attract filmmakers and studios. US President Trump orders rebuilding and reopening of the notorious US prison Alcatraz. The tourist attraction off the coast of San Francisco will once again house the most violent offenders. Donald Trump says he had some very good discussions about Russia and Ukraine over the weekend. Zelenskyy says ceasefire with Russia possible at any moment. In Romania, far-right candidate George Simeon leads the first round of presidential elections, will face off against pro-EU Bucharest Mayor Nicolae Dan in May 18th runoff. And in sports, Norway's Casper Ruud beats the fifth seed Jack Draper to lift Madrid Open 2025 title. And on to the details now. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will hold a bilateral meeting with Japan's Minister of Defence General Nakatani in New Delhi on Monday. Both sides will exchange views and ideas on the current regional and international security situation and discuss ways to further deepen the bilateral defence cooperation. Well, India and Japan share a long-term friendship which has further gained qualitative momentum after the elevation of this collaboration to special strategic and global partnership in 2014. Defence and security are important pillars of the ties between the two countries. This will be the second meeting between the two defence ministers within 6 months. Well, another incident of ceasefire violation was reported on the intervening night of 4th and 5th May. Pakistan Army post resorted to unprovoked small arms fire across the line of control in areas opposite Kupwara, Baramulla, Poonch, Rajouri, Mendhar, Naushera, Sundarbani and Akhanur in J&K. Indian Army responded promptly and proportionately. Also, meanwhile, security forces on Sunday evening busted a terrorist hideout in Hari village of Surankot in Poonch district, recovering several improvised explosive devices, other incriminating material. The operation was jointly conducted by Indian Army and Jammu and Kashmir Police in Hari area of Surankot, subdivision of Union Territories, Poonch district. Ahead of the operation, a cordon and search operation was launched by forces in Hari village, during which a hideout established in natural caves was busted. They said that 4 to 5 IEDs with different weights, some explosive content in powder form, communication devices, clothes and some other material has been recovered from the hideout. Well, the recovered explosive material was also destroyed at the site by forces, said officials, adding that anti-terror operation is still going on in the area. And in Jammu and Kashmir, a suspect named Imtiaz Ahmed Magre of village Tangimarg in district Kulgam was picked up by police on 3rd of May 25. During interrogation, he confessed to providing food and logistics to terrorists hiding in Tangimarg forest. He also agreed to lead security forces to the terrorist hideout while leading a joint team of police and army to raid the spot. The man tried to escape and jumped into the Vishwa River, but he was swept away by the strong current and drowned. The entire episode was captured on camera, which clearly shows him jumping into the river of his own free will. And Vishal Barasto joins us for more from Srinagar. Well, Vishal, good morning. Pakistan continues ceasefire violations for the 11th day and Indian Army has been retaliating, of course. What's the situation there right now?
Well, a very good morning to you, Lipakshi. The situation is tense but under control because the coordinated search operation of Jammu and Kashmir police along with military intelligence is being carried out whole across the Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory. Meanwhile, let me tell you that the incident that you just reported about a hideout being discovered by busted by the security forces lies in the Jammu division. So it's not only Kashmir but also Jammu division is going through an intense search operation. And meanwhile, let me also tell you that 90 people have been booked under Public Security Act and 2,200 and counting are detained for further investigation. So a lot of hard work is being done as far as the investigation is concerned, which is headed by NIA. Meanwhile, there have been continuous violation of ceasefire at different areas on the line of control and also on the international border. Remember, this is a summer time, the snow is melting and Pakistan's ISI is trying to infiltrate as many terrorists as it can. Though the issue was raised by the Directorate of Military Intelligence in its weekly meeting last Tuesday. Tomorrow is another day when both sides would be exchanging telephonic conversation. But the ceasefire violation continues and the agreement of 2013 on ceasefire is now in jeopardy. So the situation is quite tense here. The locals are in quite unhappy because of this incident because this has directly affected their livelihood. Meanwhile, tourists have started coming back to the valley here because the air tickets have also gone down and also the hotel tariffs. They are trying to again encourage the tourists and build up a confidence in them that all is well here. We are there to serve you. We are there to help you. And the security that has also been tightened is also giving confidence to the tourists traveling to Kashmir.
All right. Vishal, also, can you share more details about the ongoing anti-terror operation, especially in Poonch, and more about the Kulgam drowning incident?
Well, first of all, let me answer to your Kulgam incident question. The politics has intensified over the alleged suicide of Magre, the 23-year-old underground worker who was apprehended and also interrogated by the security forces. And according to release by the security forces, he accompanied the security forces to the places where he had helped the terrorists with logistics like food and clothing and also arranged a network for them. He is said to be the underground worker. But the opposition PDP is raising a big question mark and it is blaming the National Conference as to how it can be. Is it possible that a man who was under the security forces can jump into a river and drown himself? So a lot of politics over it now. This is local political mudslinging which has been on ever since this whole incident took place. PDP has always been very critical about the ruling NC, though joint declaration was passed by all parties in Jammu and Kashmir declaring their support for the steps taken by the national government at the center.
All right. Thank you so much, Vishal, for all those details from Srinagar. And moving on, a solemn memorial took place at the Indian consulate in Toronto today as members of the community gather to remember the victims of a recent tragedy overseas. 26 innocent tourists lost their lives in a terrorist attack in Pahalgam, India last month. Today, the Indian diaspora and Friends of India came together in Toronto to honor their memory and pray for peace. Tarun Paul has more.
In a quiet hall at the Council Journal of India on Blue Street East, dozens of people stand with heads bowed. Their candles flicker in unison, each flame a tribute to a life lost thousands of kilometers away. The mood is heavy with grief and solidarity. It's been 10 days since a terror attack in the tourist town of Pahalgam claimed 26 innocent lives. And here in Toronto, the shock and sorrows are palpable.
भारत माता की जय जोर से बोलो भारत माता की जय
These victims whose only crime was their pursuit for happiness, peace and a better future were senselessly and ruthlessly murdered. This heinous act was orchestrated by those who have long traded in blood and terror.
On behalf of all Canadians, we condemn this attack. This is a very cowardly terrorist attack. Innocent lives are lost. We are standing with all our Indian brothers, all our Indian families. We condemn this attack, and this is the worst cowardly act somebody can perform. We urge Indian and Canadian governments to work together to find these culprits and bring them to justice.
Community members and consulate officials observe a moment of silence. Some wipe away tears, others whispers prayers for the victims and their families. Friends from around the world gathered, standing shoulder to shoulder in support.
The tragedy which has been happened, it's the biggest tragedy, I would say one of the biggest tragedy for the mankind. They shouldn't be done to any caste, creed or anyone. We condemn this. And in future also, we pray to God that this doesn't happen on the land of India, and the land of Kashmir.
See, humanity is the biggest religion in the world. And when it comes to humanity, there are no boundaries, no borders. At the same time, as a diaspora, we feel very strong about the departed souls and their family. At the same time, we condemn them. Also, our appeal to not only to the government India, to the entire global world, that we should not take this type of terror attacks or this terrorist at ease.
The families are left behind. We stand with all of you. We pray for the peace of the souls gone, family to get strength, be more strengthened, and our country more stronger than before to come back. It's not something we dream of. Now they wanted. Families came for vacation. We'll see down the roads how a country stands to turn other people to understand. We are a loving country, a peaceful country, but we know how to revert.
This remembrance in Toronto is one of many around the world honoring the Pahalgam victims. The Indian diaspora here says that no matter the distance, their hearts are with the families affected. They vow to keep the memories, the 26 lives alive, and continue praying for peace. Reporting from Toronto, this is Tarun Paul Singh.
Well, in Manipur, Indian Army and Assam Rifles formation under Spare Corps launched intelligence-based operations between 27th of April to 4th of May. The operation was carried out in coordination with Manipur Police, CRPF, BSF and ITBP in the hill and valley districts of Kakching, Tengnopal, Bishnupur and Kangpokpe. The operations resulted in capture of 17 cadres from the hill and valley-based groups and recovery of 31 weapons, 14 improvised explosive devices, grenades, ammunition and warlike stores. And India's Finance and Corporate Affairs Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has arrived in Milan, Italy on Monday. Finance Minister Sitharaman is leading the Indian delegation of officials from the Department of Economic Affairs, Ministry of Finance to attend the 58th annual meeting of the Board of Governors of Asian Development Bank. The meetings will be attended by official delegations of the Board of Governors of ADB, official delegations of ADB members and international financial institutions. Well, the Union Finance Minister will also participate in the annual meeting's focal events like the Governor's Business Session, Governor's Plenary Session, and as a panelist in the ADB Governors Seminar on Cross-Border Collaboration for Future Resilience. Also on the sidelines of the ADB's 58th annual meeting, Sitharaman will also hold bilateral meetings with finance ministers of Italy, Japan and Bhutan, in addition to meetings with the president of ADB, the president of the International Fund for Agricultural Development and the governor of the Japan Bank for International Cooperation. The Union Finance Minister will also interact with Indian diaspora in Milan, besides meeting global think tanks, business leaders and CEOs and participating in a plenary session of the next Milan Forum at the Bocconi University on balancing economic and climate resilience. And still to come in DD India News Hour. Trump confirms ongoing US-China trade talks, hints at possible trade deal announcements. Iran wants to fight tooth and nail Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vows to retaliate against Houthi group for firing a missile near Israel's main airport. And Israel approves gradual expansion of Gaza offensive amid military buildup and mounting pressure to secure hostage release.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Kuran. And moving on, US President Donald Trump has announced a 100% tariff on foreign-made films, aiming to revive America's dwindling film industry. Trump claims foreign productions are a national security threat and divert American filmmakers abroad with lucrative incentives. DD India's Antara Sinha has more on this.
In a move that's sending shockwaves through Hollywood and beyond, US President Donald Trump announced Sunday that he is ordering sweeping new tariffs on all films produced outside of the United States. Taking to his Truth Social platform, Trump declared a 100% tariff on foreign-made movies, citing what he called a devastating trend of American studios filming abroad. The movie industry in America is dying a very fast death, he wrote, adding, other countries are offering all sorts of incentives to draw our filmmakers and studios away. Trump characterized the situation as a threat not only to American culture but to national security itself. He directed the Department of Commerce and the United States Trade Representative to immediately begin implementing the measure. This comes just weeks after China announced it would cut back on the number of American films allowed into its domestic market. Protests have erupted in Los Angeles and Cannes alike, with critics calling the tariffs a blow to artistic collaboration and global cinema. As the world watches, the future of international cinema and America's role in it hangs in the balance. With little detail yet available and no clear implementation timeline, the film industry finds itself in a dramatic cliffhanger worthy of the big screen itself. Antara Sinha for DD India.
Well, US President Donald Trump shared on Sunday that the US is engaged in ongoing trade discussions with multiple countries, including China, while the president emphasized that securing a fair trade deal with China remains a top priority. He confirmed that he would not be speaking with Chinese President Xi Jinping this week. Instead, US officials are in active talks with their Chinese counterparts on various trade matters. When asked if any new trade agreements would be announced during the week, Trump left the door open, stating that it could be however, refrained from providing specifics. The comments come amid heightened tensions over trade imbalances and tariffs between the two global economic powers.
People are talking about different things. Every country, almost without fail, friend and foe, has been ripping us off for years. So we're meeting with almost all of them, including China. And at the end, I'm setting the deal.
Well, it was once America's most feared prison, and now it could return to that role. President Donald Trump has unveiled a plan to rebuild and reopen Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary.
Rising from the waters of San Francisco Bay, Alcatraz Island was one of a dreaded prison surrounded by water on all sides. It is known today as a place of history turned a tourist destination. Now the island is all set to return to mean role as US President Donald Trump has directed officials to rebuild and open. US President Trump declared his intention to transform the site into a high-security facility for housing the most ruthless and violent offenders in the country. Trump added that the expanded Alcatraz would serve as a symbol of law, order, and justice. Located 2 kilometers off the coast of San Francisco and with a capacity of just 336 prisoners, it was once home to notorious criminals like Al Capone and George Machine Gun Kelly. Alcatraz closed in 1963. It has been a national park for decades until now. According to the Bureau of Prisons, Alcatraz was closed because it was too expensive to operate. When the prison closed in 1963, it was estimated that upwards of $5 million was needed to restore and maintain the prison. Over 1 million visitors come here each year. The announcement comes at a time when Trump has been in a public clash with the courts as his government sent alleged Venezuelan gang members to a prison in El Salvador. Bureau Report, DD India.
Also, US President Donald Trump confirmed on Sunday that he had offered to send US troops to Mexico to assist in combating drug trafficking. The offer was revealed by Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, who stated that she had declined the proposal. Trump explained that the offer stemmed from the severe impact of drug cartels, which have been responsible for thousands of deaths. Speaking aboard Air Force One, he emphasized that the US would have been honored to help if Mexico had requested assistance in tackling the cartels. While Sheinbaum rejected the idea, citing Mexico's sovereignty, the offer reflects growing concerns over the rising influence of cartels in both countries. As violence related to drug trafficking continues to escalate, discussions on international cooperation remain a contentious issue. Also, US President Donald Trump said on Sunday he and his advisors have had some good discussions about Russia and Ukraine in recent days without elaborating. Speaking to reporters as he returned to the White House after a weekend in Florida, Trump was asked whether he planned to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin in Saudi Arabia when he travels there later this month. He said he had not thought about this but had some very good discussions about Russia and Ukraine in the recent days. On the other hand, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said on Sunday that a ceasefire with Russia in its more than 3-year-old conflict was possible at any moment and called on Kyiv's allies to apply greater pressure on Moscow to put the measure in place. The Czech government has been a strong backer of Kyiv since the beginning of the conflict and has led an initiative to supply Ukraine with large caliber ammunition. In an earlier social media post, Zelenskyy praised the initiative as effective and said cooperation would also be pursued in military aviation, expanding pilot training programs and supporting Ukraine's fleet of F-16 aircraft. While speaking at a joint news conference in Prague alongside Czech President Petr Pavel, Zelenskyy said that unless increased pressure were applied, Kremlin leader Vladimir Putin would take no real steps to end the conflict. Also earlier, Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered a 3-day truce during commemorations for the anniversary of the end of World War II in Europe, saying it would test Kyiv's readiness for a long-term ceasefire. Though Zelenskyy also said that he did not believe Russia would adhere to a 3-day truce to coincide with Moscow's Victory Day celebrations on the 9th of May. While 2 people were killed and several others injured in a suspected gas explosion and subsequent fire in Moscow on Sunday. The blast damaged an apartment block and was heard from surrounding buildings, with witnesses describing the sound as similar to thunder. A Russian Telegram channel reported that the 2 fatalities were residents of the apartment where the explosion took place. Russia's emergency ministry said firefighters were able to extinguish the blaze and the cause of the explosion is under investigation. And in the latest move, the Israeli Security Cabinet, led by the country's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, has approved a gradual expansion of the military offensive against Hamas in Gaza. This development comes amid heightened tensions and a significant military buildup, with tens of thousands of reservists being called up to intensify the operation. The Israeli army aims to destroy Hamas infrastructure, both above and below the ground, while increasing pressure to secure the return of hostages. Meanwhile, a new plan for aid distribution in Gaza has also been approved, although the timing of aid delivery remains unclear. Well, Iran has warned that it will strike back if US or Israel attacked. Iran's Defense Minister Aziz Nezarzadeh said on Sunday that Iran would strike back if the United States or Israel attacked. Nezarzadeh's comments came after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to retaliate against Iran for Houthi group firing a missile that landed near Israel's main airport. Echoing Iran's official stance, Nezarzadeh said Houthis act upon their own motivations. The Iranian defense minister also said that Iran has no hostility towards neighboring countries, but in case of an attack, the US bases located in the region will be considered targets by Tehran. Meanwhile, Iran has unveiled a new solid-fuel ballistic missile on Sunday, terming it Iran's latest defense achievement. Iran's state television reports the solid-propellant Qasim Basir ballistic missile has a range of at least 1,200 kilometers. The new missile was shown after Tehran and Washington held Oman-mediated talks on Iran's nuclear program on 3 consecutive Saturdays from April 12th. Iran has ruled out discussions with Washington on its military and defense capabilities, including its ballistic missile program. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed on Sunday a response to Yemen's Houthis and their Iranian backers after the rebel struck the area of Israel's main airport, wounding 6 people. The strike came hours before Israel's army confirmed the call-up of tens of thousands of reservists to expand the 19-month conflict in Gaza against Hamas. Several international airlines suspended flights to Israel, and hours after the strike, Yemen's Houthis promised more such strikes and warned airlines to cancel their flights to Israeli airports. Well, in a video published on Telegram, Netanyahu said Israel had acted against the Iran-backed rebels in the past and will act in the future also. This is the first time that a missile has directly struck inside the airport perimeter. The Houthis, who say they act in support of Palestinians in Gaza, claimed responsibility for the attack and blamed the US for the fresh strikes. Also, Israel's Army Chief Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir confirmed media reports of a planned expansion of the Gaza conflict. He said the army would destroy all Hamas infrastructure, both on the surface and underground. Israel resumed major operations across Gaza on March 18th amid a deadlock over how to proceed with a 2-month ceasefire. And still to come, DD India News. A boat capsizes in southwest China's Guizhou province, claiming 9 lives. Stay with us for details. 13 kidnapped workers found dead in a mine in Peru's Patas region amid rising gold rush violence. And Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro breathed life as fans rejoiced at the free Lady Gaga concert.
स्वागत आहे टू मैग्नेटिक महाराष्ट्र. share in the richness of Maharashtra as one family, united by the collective vision of building a better tomorrow.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Kurana, and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to host a Japanese counterpart General Nakatani for wide-ranging talks in New Delhi on Monday. Trump announces 100% tariff for movies produced outside US, says movie industry dying a very fast death due to other countries offering incentives to attract filmmakers and studios. US President Trump orders rebuilding and reopening of the notorious US prison Alcatraz. The tourist attraction off the coast of San Francisco will once again house most violent offenders. Donald Trump says he had some very good discussions about Russia and Ukraine over the weekend. Zelenskyy says ceasefire with Russia possible at any moment. In Romania, far-right candidate George Simeon leads the first round of presidential elections, will face off against pro-EU Bucharest Mayor Nicolae Dan in May 18th runoff. And in sports, Norway's Casper Ruud beats fifth seed Jack Trapper to lift Madrid Open 2025 title. And moving on, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said on Monday he had a warm conversation with the US President Donald Trump on tariffs and the AUKUS Defence Pact after his centre-left Labour Party decisively beat the Conservatives in a weekend election. Albanese said during a media briefing that they talked about how AUKUS and tariffs will continue to engage. The two leaders will engage with each other on a face-to-face basis at some time in the future. Albanese also thanked Trump for reaching out in such a positive way. Albanese was returned to office for a second term in a stunning comeback against the Conservative Liberal National Coalition, which was ahead in polls as recently as February. And Eurosceptic George Simeon emerged victorious in the first round of Romania's presidential election rerun on Sunday as per the partial results. The election, viewed as a measure of the growing influence of Trump-style nationalism within the European Union, saw Simeon leading with around 40% of the vote. Bucharest Mayor Nicolae Dan came in second with approximately 21%. Simeon described his victory as a triumph for Romanian dignity, symbolizing hope and belief.
I bow to the Romanians outside the country's border who turned out to vote in large numbers and travelled hundreds of kilometers to show that they are proud because they are Romanians. I will remain devoted to them in everything I do because it is not my victory but the victory of the Romanian people. I will keep my word because Romania needs his wisdom and vision and because I do not want power for myself.
Well, if the final results, including votes from the diaspora, confirm this trend, the two will face off in a runoff on May 18th. Benefiting from a wave of popular anger against a mainstream leader, Simeon opposes military aid to neighboring Ukraine, criticizes EU leadership and says he's aligned with the US president's Make America Great Again movement. And British police have arrested 8 individuals, including 7 Iranian nationals, in 2 major counter-terrorism operations, prompting renewed concern over Iranian-linked threats in the UK. 5 men, 4 of whom are Iranian, were detained under suspicion of preparing a terrorist act, with arrests carried out in London, Swindon and Greater Manchester. Authorities believe the suspects were planning an imminent attack targeting a specific location, although the site remains undisclosed. 3 additional Iranian men were arrested in a separate London operation under the National Security Act aimed at combating foreign interference and espionage. UK Home Secretary Yvette Cooper described the arrest as part of some of the most significant counter-terrorism efforts in recent years. The Metropolitan Police continue to investigate potential motivations and threats, emphasizing that both operations are ongoing.
Well, these are major operations that have taken place. and the ongoing investigation is immensely important. Of course, it involves Iranian nationals in both investigations, and we're supporting the police and the security agencies in the investigations that they are taking, in the security assessments that they are doing. But this reflects the complexity of the kinds of challenges to our national security that we continue to face, that we have set out, and that's why protecting our national security, including supporting these extremely professional operations and investigations, remains our top priority.
Well, in China, at least 9 people are confirmed dead and 1 remains missing after 4 sightseeing boats capsized during a sudden storm in southwest Guizhou province. The tragic incident, which occurred on the Wu River near Shaanxi city on Sunday, threw more than 70 people into the water and prompted a large-scale emergency response. According to state media reports, the boats were navigating a tourist route on the Wu River, a tributary of the Yangtze, when strong winds, rain and hail suddenly struck the area. At least 14 individuals are initially reported missing. Search and rescue teams recovered additional bodies overnight, bringing the death toll to 9 by Monday morning, with 1 person still unaccounted for. And Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces launched a drone attack on a military airbase and surrounding facilities near Port Sudan airport on Sunday, marking the first RSF strike on the eastern port city. According to a Sudanese army spokesperson, no casualties were reported from the attack. The RSF has primarily targeted power stations in army-controlled areas across central and northern Sudan over the past several months, though these strikes have had minimal casualties. The Port Sudan attack signifies a shift in the ongoing 2-year conflict between the Sudanese army and the RSF, as the eastern region had previously been spared from such assaults. In response, the Sudanese army has strengthened its presence around key facilities in Port Sudan, including the airport and seaport, and closed roads to the presidential palace. Well, 13 workers kidnapped by illegal miners in Peru's Patas region were found dead inside a mine, according to the mining company Poderosa. The area is experiencing escalating violence due to a gold rush, despite a state of emergency being declared. The victims found on Sunday worked for a company that provided services to Poderosa, a major gold mining firm. Peru's Interior Ministry said it had deployed organized crime investigators to probe the deaths, warning its agents are fully empowered to use their firearms if the circumstances warrant it. And former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro was discharged from the hospital on Sunday after a 3-week stay for major abdominal surgery to address an intestinal obstruction. Following his release, he reiterated calls for amnesty for supporters imprisoned over the January 2023 attack on governmental buildings after his election defeat. Bolsonaro is advised not to attend the May 7th march due to a recovery period of 3 to 4 weeks. He was hospitalized after severe abdominal pain during a political event following his 6th surgery for a 2018 stabbing. His allies are pushing for an amnesty bill in Congress which could benefit him. The Brazilian Supreme Court ruled he should stand trial for attempting to overturn the election results, though he denies any wrongdoing and is currently barred from running for office. Well, more than 1.6 million people attended a free Lady Gaga concert on Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro on Saturday. The 2016 Olympic host cities hosting large-scale free events featuring global stars as a way of filling hotels and restaurants that have been struggling in recent years with an economic and public security crisis. Madonna's show on the same beach a year ago attracted 1.6 million people from all over Brazil and was the biggest live performance of a decades-long career. The city estimates that Gaga's visit, funded mainly by private sponsors, could inject over $100 million into Rio's economy. Well, Brazilian authorities successfully thwarted a bomb attack aimed at Lady Gaga's historic concert, which attracted over 2 million attendees, was the target of a planned bombing orchestrated by a group with extremist views, promoting hate speech and radicalizing teenagers. The operation was based on a report by the ministry's Cyber Operations Lab following a tip-off from Rio State Police Intelligence. A man described as the group's leader was arrested for illegal possession of a firearm, while a teenager in Rio de Janeiro was detained for storing child pornography. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. The liberation of Dachau was commemorated with survivors, a U.S. Army veteran and political figures. Carl Frella, director of the memorial, warned against the far-right AfD party. Over 200,000 prisoners from over 40 countries were held there between 1933 and 1945. Dachau was liberated on April 29, 1945, and the memorial now focuses on remembering the victims and raising awareness of Nazi crimes. In anticipation of the May 9th Victory Day celebrations, Moscow opened an exhibition titled "And I Saw a New Sky and a New Earth" at Zaryadye Park, located just a short distance from the Kremlin. The exhibition features a wide range of artistic works, including traditional paintings, sculptures and graphic art, as well as video installations, digital art and even bulletproof vest. A severe dust storm hit the Al-Qasim region in central Saudi Arabia, causing widespread disruption and reducing visibility, affecting several governorates. The storm, accompanied by strong winds, enveloped the region in near total darkness, severely affecting daily life. The high winds toppled trees, obstructed roads, and posed significant risks to travelers and residents. A Eucharistic celebration mass took place inside St. Peter's Basilica on Sunday to mark the final official day of mourning for the late Pope Francis. The mass was presided over by Cardinal Dominic Mamberti, Protodeacon of the College of Cardinals. And still to come in DD India News. Up next, an update of Khelo India Youth Games being held in East India's Bihar. In sports, Punjab Kings beat Lucknow Super Giants by 37 runs in their crucial IPL match. And a parade of sea creatures made of balloons fills the streets of Mexico's Guadalajara.
Welcome to Kumarakom, Kerala, God's own country.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipak Shikurana, and on to some business news now. Oil prices slumped on Monday after 8 OPEC Plus members announced a sharp increase in production. In morning trade in Asia, West Texas Intermediate was down 3.8% at $56.08 per barrel, while Brent North Sea crude slid 3.5% at $59.17. OPEC Plus shocked oil markets in April by agreeing a bigger than expected output hike for May made despite weak prices and slowing demand. Saudi Arabia designed the move to punish Iraq and Kazakhstan for poor compliance with production quotas, as Riyadh signaled it was unwilling to prop up the market any longer. OPEC Plus, which includes the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and allies such as Russia, is cutting output by almost 5 million BPD or 5% of global demand. The cuts were agreed in various stages since 2022 to support the market, and many cuts are due to remain in place until the end of 2026. And Kolkata Port, or Syama Prasad Mukherjee Port in eastern India's West Bengal, has reported a record 45.32% year-on-year growth in cargo handling in April 2025, shipping 5.97 million metric tons compared to 4.11 million metric tons in April last year. According to port authorities, such a performance established the Kolkata port as India's fastest growing major port for the month, reinforcing its critical role in eastern India's maritime logistics. The Kolkata dock system also excelled, handling 1.6 million metric tons, up from 44.12% from 1.1 million metric tons last year. Key commodities driving this growth included petroleum, oil and lubricant products, LPG, vegetable oil, cooking coal, thermal coal, manganese ore, fly ash and containers at HDC, while KDS saw gains in finished fertilizers, pulses, food grains and containerized cargo. Well, you're watching DD India News. Our time now for some sports news. The competitions at the Khelo India Youth Games 2025 have begun with a grand opening on Sunday. Today, players will be seen on the field in volleyball, kho-kho, kabaddi, gatka, malakhamb, archery and football, whereas in judo, swimming and shooting, players will be seen competing for medals. It is noteworthy that a team of about 10,000 players and support staff from across the country have reached Bihar to participate in the 7th edition of Khelo India Youth Games, being organized for the first time in the state. The competitions will be held in 5 cities of Bihar: Patna, Rajgir, Gaya, Bhagalpur and Begusarai. And DD India's Narayan Singh joins us for more on the games. Well, Narayan, can you give us a quick overview of the key highlights and standout performances from the events held so far today across Patna and New Delhi?
Pakshi, good morning. The games have just been started and they are in the preliminary stages as the round and the qualification round and the group stage matches are taking place. In Kabaddi, Haryana won their initial matches. And also talking about the archery, in the qualifying rounds, in the 4 events, Maharashtra is at the top of the, we can say that they are top in their respective categories. And as the day will progress, we will see more rounds and more, we can say that in pistol, 10-meter medal could be there in today. And the pistol events, 10-meter air pistol events are taking place in Delhi at the Karni Singh shooting range. And talking about the judo matches are taking place, swimming, and the 5 places in Bihar, that is Patna, Begusarai, and in Bhagalpur, Gaya and Rajgir, the events are taking place. And in Delhi, the events of shooting and cycling are taking place. All in all, we can say that our athletes are ready to shine at this stage of the Khelo India Youth Games. It's day 1 and as the program will progress, as the tournament will progress, we will see the more records and the more players shining at this stage of the Khelo India Youth Games. We know that the Khelo India is all about making the India's grassroots level sports very strong. It's the brainchild of the PM Modi. The vision was to make the grassroots level sports strong. And today we are seeing that Khelo India is spread all across the country. A large number of Khelo India Center of Excellence are there in the country. And in Bihar only, there are 38 Center of Excellence. So we can see that now it has become a huge tree and its roots are spread all across the country. And it has given us multiple international stars, the Khelo India Youth Games. So it's not only about Khelo India Youth Games. Under this program, we have Khelo India University Games, Khelo India Winter Games, Khelo India Para Games, and throughout the year, the Khelo India tournament for each and every events are taking place throughout the years. So these games are helping to India make strong at the grassroots level. They are making the athletes and helping the athletes to shine at the international stage. And even if we talk about the Khelo India, more than we can say 6,000 at least in total. If we talk about more than 8,000 officials, support staff, coaches are taking part. So its quantum is somewhat like an international event, and here our international stars are also takes part. So here a stiff competition takes place between the rookie stars and the players who are just playing at the domestic level, so they can check where they are standing. So this is the beauty of these games, and where future stars, future players, future athletes are grown. And all in all, as PM yesterday in his opening ceremony, in the opening ceremony of the Khelo India Youth Games, said that it's all about bringing the sports culture, and Khelo India has played a pivotal role to bring a sports culture in India that has brought, and athletes from all over the India are taking part in these games, and the brand of Khelo India has spread each and every, even in the far-flung areas of the country. That's the success of this program. And apart from that, we can say that it is helping to build the sports infrastructure in the country. And if you take a Bihar's performance, in the Dehradun National Games, they won 13 medals, 1 gold, and it was their best ever performance. So it shows that the country is in steady progress. Bihar has also embracing the sporting culture, and definitely it's a good thing for India.
All right. Of course, the mission is to bring about the sports culture at the grassroots level. Thank you so much, Naran, for all those details. And moving on, Norway's Casper Ruud won his first Masters 1000 title on Sunday as he secured victory over 5th seed Jack Draper in the Madrid Open final. Ruud displayed a gutsy performance as he stormed to a 7-5, 3-6, 6-4 victory over Jack Draper that really showcased his clay court mettle. The 26-year-old overcame a rib injury sustained in the semi-final to secure the trophy after previously dispatching Taylor Fritz, Daniil Medvedev and Francisco Cerundolo. Ruud had previously reached 3 Grand Slam finals, including 2 at Roland Garros, Masters 1000 finals in Miami in 2022 and Monte Carlo last year. And Punjab Kings outplayed Lucknow Super Giants by 37 runs at the crucial Indian Premier League match to move to the second position in the points table on Sunday. Sent in to bat first, Prabsimran Singh smashed a blistering 48 ball 91 and shared a 78-run stand with skipper Shreyas Iyer to lay the foundation. Between Nehal Vadhera, Shashank Singh and Marcus Stoinis chipped in to propel Punjab Kings to an imposing 236 for 5. Arshdeep Singh led the bowling charge for Punjab, while Azmatullah Omarzai also chipped in with key wickets. Meanwhile, Ayush Badoni fought a lone battle with a valiant 40 ball 74 but lacked support from the other end as Lucknow were restricted to 199 for 7 in 20 overs, slumping to their 6th loss in 11 games. Punjab Kings is now at the 2nd spot in points table, while Lucknow Super Giants is at the 7th. And Oscar Piastri won the Miami Grand Prix in an utterly dominant McLaren 1-2 on Sunday to complete a hat-trick of wins. His victory also stretched his Formula One championship lead over teammate Lando Norris to 16 points after 6 rounds. The win from 4th on the grid was Piastri's 3rd in a row after Bahrain and Saudi Arabia. McLaren has so far been beaten only once. George Russell finished 3rd for Mercedes, but he was a mighty 37.644 seconds behind. Red Bull's world champion Max Verstappen was 4th, overtaken by both McLarens and maintaining a sequence dating back to the race's debut in 2022 of the drivers starting on pole position in Miami, failing to win 0. And in football, Chelsea moved a step closer to Champions League qualification on Sunday by beating under-strength champion Liverpool 3-1 in their Premier League match. A first-half strike from Enzo Fernandez, a ricocheted own goal by Jarrell Quansah and Cole Palmer penalty ensured Chelsea a commanding win. The game was less than 3 minutes old when Cole Palmer found Pedro Neto, whose cutback fell to the unmarked Enzo Fernandez, and then he whipped the ball low into the net. Palmer was also instrumental in the second goal when he created confusion in the Liverpool box, resulting in Virgil van Dijk blasting an attempted clearance against Jarrell Quansah, who scored into his own net. Enzo Maresca's Chelsea is 5th in the Premier League on 63 points, separated from 4th-placed Newcastle only by goals scored. Both teams trail 3rd-placed Manchester City by a point with 3 games remaining. And in an enchanting display of creativity and color, the streets of Guadalajara were transformed into a wonderland as a parade of stunningly intricate balloon sculptures filled the air and delighted thousands of onlookers. Take a look. Alright, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.